while the ring assembly is drying, I will move on to assembling the fins for the Mars Longship. And they come on this, get that out of the way for now. They come on this balsa sheet, laser cut. And one thing I like to do is, while the fins are still on, and they do mention it in the instructions, while they are still on the balsa, just take some light sandpaper and a sanding block, or I like this sanding tee, and just lightly sand both sides to kind of even everything out. If there's any high points, low points, this knocks them down and makes sure everything will be even. So that's something you'll want to do to both sides, that way both sides are smooth. So much easier to do this when they're all still attached, that way they're not all flopping around on you. And then, carefully, doesn't matter which side you do this on, just take your hobby knife and carefully cut out each piece. So while these go really easy, especially if you notice the grain of the wood runs this way on this particular piece. Most of it does when they do these, they run the long way. So any of the notches that go along the grain cut really easy. You could almost just punch through with your finger. Then across the grain you do need a little bit of pressure, but just use a little bit. Don't use too much, or you can cut too far. And then these curved pieces can be a little tricky. That one actually went quite well. There, that needed a little bit of pressure. There. So I got these out. So for each shape, there are 3 pieces, because this is a 3-fin rocket. So I'll get the rest of these cut out, and I'll see you again in a moment. Okay, the fin pieces are all out. And then once again with the sandpaper, if you can see this, where they were attached to the sheet, there's little bumps. I like to stack the sheets, or the pieces, similar pieces together, and then either on my sanding tee or just a flat surface, again with my sandpaper, get them all lined up, and just very lightly sand those down to where they're nice and smooth. You won't need much, just a little bit to knock those points down a little. Now on this, if you look at these pieces, they have this notch down here. Be very careful sanding this edge. You do not want to sand that. So for this one, I'm going to line them up. I will use my T, but then line it up so it's like this, and that notch is hanging off, so that that does not get sanded, and then just very lightly like that. And that didn't take hardly anything to do, and that's nice and smooth. So I'll do that to the rest of these. That's the only one you really need to be careful with. It's the only one with that notch hanging down. That notch is very important later on, so we don't want to risk sanding that to a different shape. So I'll get the rest of these done, and I'll see you again in a little bit. I will cut in real quick here. This one has a curved shape, and it does have the notch there. And then this one I'll just do off the table, just with my finger there. That way I'm not unintentionally sanding a straight edge on there. I want this to maintain that curve. Okay, so those look good. No, I missed those. Ha! I only did one side of these, the side with the notch. I didn't do the other two sides. But this one, again, pay attention, because you'll see it goes straight line and then it curves, has that bend in it. So again, I'm going to do the same technique with the sanding tee to sand this down, and then this. So this one is just a really odd shape. So it's just something I need to pay attention with. Yeah. Okay, so that looks good now. So, and then I like to put a little, again, with the waxed paper, so that I don't glue my pieces to my table, because that's not where they go. And we do have our templates. It's for these pieces. So this little shape will go there, and then this long skinny shape will go there. Now they're already shaped pretty well that they will go together nicely. Oh, sorry. So they're already shaped pretty well that they're pretty much going to go together nicely. That's one of the advantages of a laser cut fins. They're very accurate, but having the template is also handy. So I'm going to slide that template under my waxed paper so that I can use that, and then these I will glue there. Yeah, that does line up very nicely. So I will glue these pieces together. And the other pieces, the kind of swooped edge there, so they have two swooping edges. One goes this way, one goes this way, and then so you notice one is taller than the other one. You want to make sure, how well to show this, you want to make sure that the bottom edges are even and the top edges are not. So actually I'm going to do these first, set them aside, and then do the longer fins. And then when I'm doing these, anything that has to have a confirmed straight edge, I get a straight edge, also known as a ruler. So, a little bit of glue there. Oh, get that knocked out of there. There. Okay. Whoa. I got a bubble. All right. Get back up there. A little bit there. And again, we end up wiping off a fair amount, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna lay it down flat against the ruler, and then wipe off whatever squeezes up. Okay, we'll let that set for a little bit, and then get the next one. So it's a nice little assembly line I've got going here. So I'll do the rest of these and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so these three pieces are nicely assembled, lining up nicely. I'm going to let them sit for a little bit longer and then move them to another flat surface and then continue on with the longer fins. Just want to make sure you don't move them too soon. You want to give the glue enough time so that it's started to set a little bit. Good. That one's good. And again, these will be resting on a flat section of table with yet another sheet of waxed paper. So they don't stick to it. Okay, now moving on to the next part. Since these assemblies are not going to be, they don't need to be flat, I won't need this. I will bring back my template sheet. I'll put that under. Line that up. Line that up. Make sure it looks good. Can you hear my neighbor's garage door? Opening or closing, I don't know which. So, add a little glue around that. I wasn't paying attention. Did it sound like they opened earlier? I don't know. Well, I hope it's closing because that helps keep my garage warmer. It's that neighbor on that side. They have a habit of leaving their garage door open by mistake, I hope. On the other side, that's my husband's car. He's already at work. So he is meticulous about keeping his garage door closed. wiping off the excess glue there and down there. Looks good, it's lining up nicely. Let that set a little bit. And I'll move the template up a little bit and I can start the next one. Okay, that looks good. So I'll let these guys dry. I guess guys, gals, I don't suppose rocket parts actually have a gender. It's just a general term we use. We being a lot of American, English-speaking Americans. So you'll hear me saying guys, not necessarily referring to anything gender specific. It is just a word I use. Anything can be a guy. Just suppose that means anything can be a gal. That one seemed to have dried a little bit more. I'm going to let these two sit a little bit longer while I verify their alignment. Yep, and that one did move a little bit. You got a little bit of time to play until the glue starts to set too much. So I'm going to leave those to sit. And when we're ready to pick this up again, I'll let these dry and I'll see you again in the near future. Thank you.